officially the first Cameroonian movie to be on Netflix. Congratulations to Sam's production, and it features one of Africa's best, Ireti, Richard Murphy, and of course dynamic Cameroonian actresses like Jane Imeldin. Features Alene Menget. I mean, just the very very best Pa Otia, just who you want to see on your screen. It focuses around this couple, Loughlin and her daughter Nabila, with her husband Tony. So she's going through a moment of pain and depression, and her husband is trying to decode what is happening to his wife while taking care of their daughter, because she doesn't want to touch or encounter their daughter or the husband in any way. She just wants to be alone. So he meets his right hand man, who is always there for them to talk, who is Max, aka Alene Menget. They talk about it. Max is that dynamic friend, and Max is like, okay, we need to see you need to take your wife to see a psychologist. I mean, she needs to be on therapy, and you have left your job as a human resource, which was a very profitable job, to take care of this child. It's not going to be an easy process, so you better think of having a nanny, which he thinks about it, but he in his mind, it's like it's going to be an easy process and his wife is going to get out of it. And he thinks at this point that is postpartum depression, because the baby is like 6 months, the wife gave birth, it's not been too long, so maybe she's still going through the process of the change and all. While at work, she's also going through that difficulty, and her friends at work, like, her friend at work is just with her, trying to talk her out of the situation. But we see that the more people are trying to get in, the more it's becoming difficult, and she starts visiting, or she continues to visit Dr. Benedictus to be able to decode or help her through her trauma during this whole period, because it is primary for her to heal from within, and healing definitely takes time. So while all of this is going on, it is difficult to be able for her husband to be able to feed the baby. I mean, he too is going through his own things in his mind and all. They decided to employ a nanny, and he goes to Max and is like, okay man, I'm ready for that new change or the new turn in my life. Okay, let's get this nanny. And Anita comes in as a nanny, which he admires so much because of the connection she has with their child immediately, and how obedient she is throughout the whole series. So it becomes a whole back and forth journey, and we get to meet Dr. Ndive and Laura, that is Cindy Emade and her husband. Cindy Emade in real life, the character is called Laura. So we get to meet them, and they come visiting her just to check up on her, because at this point she also thinks that it's postpartum depression. So she goes in, talks to her like woman to woman, but she still sees that there's a stumbling block. However, she tries her best to communicate how she sees things from her perspective, but at that point in time, it doesn't change anything, or it doesn't make a big deal. She still goes back and forth, and we get to hear about the Speak Up campaign, which she's running in her office, and the dynamics of how she cannot even concentrate at work, and at home she does not want to see her husband. She doesn't want, at a point she is insisting and telling her husband to let their daughter go, like maybe go stay with a cousin or somebody. And while in therapy, she was asked what her main problem is, and she said she doesn't like men. And this was because she feels like in her relationship, everything she was doing along the line was to please her husband and not for herself. I mean, he was looking out for him, and he was not reciprocating in any way. So those were one of the things that accumulated and made her pain even heavier. So that's the line. So Laura consistently tried to make her happy in her own little way. We see that a party is being organized, and one thing which is strange in this scene is that because she was annoyed, they didn't get to eat the food. Anyway, I'm going to talk about some of the criticism at the end of my review. So there's a party, she gets annoyed, she leaves, and everybody leaves the party. So she goes to work, and Dora is like, okay, you cannot be at work because you are not fit for this. So she goes home and like, okay, I'm not going to stay here. packs up her load and goes to Laura and Dive's house. And mind you, Dr. Dive had told the husband to speak out, and he wasn't ready to speak out. People were asking him like, try to help your wife, and he wasn't. And at this point in time, a couple of people already knew that the husband was actually having low sperm count. So those were one of the reasons why she was frustrated and pained, because she has been living and suffering with the husband and taking the pain of not having a child for 5 years, and it was caused by the husband, and the husband didn't care in any way to tell her. So those were the things that were shocking to her. She left and she was with Laura and her. So when her husband tried looking for her, Laura made sure that, okay, I'm not telling you where she is, and Dr. Ndire was just like, okay, I'm not about to be in the middle of this business, let me rush to work. So those were the dynamics, and Tony had to eventually call Joachim, who is much more, I don't know, she's much more conversational and can make people talk. So she comes in, steps in, talks to him, and he speaks out his truth about the fact that he felt low of himself. So he speaks out his truth. They go find her, and they were invited by Laura. Laura was there, Dora was there, and the whole friend group. She came out, and her husband was like, I'm sorry, I wasn't capable of telling you this because I felt where other men won or other men are winning, and I felt a lot of jealousy. So him saying that, and he goes down on his knees, apologizes. She leaves the scene, cries her eyes out, and then tells her truth about the fact that she was raped by her husband's boss. Like, he put a sedative, I think, in her drink, and that was what caused the whole situation. So that out of the way, they go see Joachim, talks to them once more, and they go meet the therapy, and she tells them that they need to talk real deep and learn to forgive, because if they don't forgive and move over that situation, it's going to come back and haunt them in future. So that's the summary of what the Therapy first Cameroonian Netflix movie is all about. I'd like to, in terms of criticisms, I will say the scene where they did not eat, they came for a party, and because one person was hurt and the husband had cooked and they did not eat at all, that was really, where does that happen? I don't think that's, and we knew that was her condition, so it was not normal that they came for the party and did not eat. And then there were some scenes that dragged a lot. I feel like the whole movie would have been like an hour and it would have been fine. There was a scene that dragged too much. There were a couple of background musics which I enjoyed, but I didn't enjoy all of it, I will say that. And I like the fact that, for my likes, I like the fact that the characters, they didn't try to add so many characters, because there are some movies where that everybody is in that movie, so they didn't try to add so many characters to make the movie too thick. It was just prim and proper, and then the characters knew what they were doing. The wardrobe was really, really good. I like the wardrobe, and I just like the dynamics and some of the shots in the movie, and the transition from one shot to another. And overall, I would say it's a pass for me. I was able to watch it and understand her pain, but as I said, it could be shorter. That movie could be an hour. There were a lot of times that things were stretched. There was music, then the character spoke, and then there was nothing happening. There were times where nothing was really going on, and then the music at some points were not the perfect ones for us to feel the person's pain. Because when it comes to movies like Therapy or subtle movies, you need to be able to relate to the character through pain, and sometimes this is easily communicated through music, so we want to feel your pain through that too. That's all I can say for this movie, and I will definitely be giving it a strong 7 on 10. Please make sure to check it out on Netflix. It's currently airing. Let's make it trend. And see you guys in my next one. Bye.